On November 21, 2016, a tragic fire in a quiet Carroll County, Indiana duplex claimed the lives of four young sisters: 11-year-old Kiana Davis, 9-year-old Kiara Phillips, 7-year-old Keo McDonald, and 5-year-old Key Welch. This peaceful town, known as the Garden Spot of Indiana, was forever changed by this heartbreaking incident. Questions remain about the fire's origin. Was it an accident or set intentionally? Today we will explore the details of this case. Galen Rose had just begun a new job with higher pay, eager to provide her daughters with the best life possible. And Con Welch were her world. At 119, 7, and 5, the girls were full of positive energy. Galen dreamed of a life of endless possibilities for her daughters, one filled with opportunities she missed. Her childhood was boring, and she didn't want that for her girls. Her father, Tracy Rose, went to prison for drug crimes when she was only 12. She didn't have him around until 2011 when he came back into her life. So this was not enough. Well, Tracy loved her and his grandchildren so much, he moved to Flora and urged Galen to go with him. She was reluctant at first, but had missed her father so much after weeks of considering his offer, she followed her father to Flora. With the girls, she believed Flora was a fresh start for her and her little girls, Galen, and the girls lived with her father for 8 months until she secured a spacious apartment. She rented the 2-story duplex for $500 monthly. This was a breath of fresh air for her and the girls. The duplex had a front porch on a tree-lined street. They settled in so fast the girls often played with each other outside. They were friendly to everyone and made new friends in the neighborhood. They played with a neighbor's dog since they didn't own one. The four sisters also loved to dance, play sports, and enjoy family time. The sisters who lived in Flora loved to cheer in this video. The eldest sister, Kiana, helps her 7-year-old sister, Karel, work on their routine before a competition. They were members of the Lafayette Diamonds cheer team. They had just competed in a cheerleading tournament the Saturday before the fire, and on Sunday, Kiana had a basketball game. Kiana loved basketball and dedicated many hours to it. Weekly, Tracy predicted she would be a basketball star. Like Guyan, he went with her to games and cheered from the crowd. Galen was super proud of her girls. She worked long hours in a gas station. She even took extra shifts to make meat. Galen was calm and cheerful, like her daughters. She smiled behind the counter and spoke politely to customers. Her girls sometimes called her their coach because she supported them, especially during Tuesday. Cheer practices, watching them perform, was the highlight of her week on the afternoon of November 21st. 2016, Rose and her daughters headed to the grocery store. It was one of those exting trips because the girls picked out their favorite snacks. When they got home, it was already evening. Rose cooked dinner, and after they ate, she sent them off to bed around 10 p.m. The girls echoed goodnight as they snuggled under their blankets. Rose responded and was grateful for her little family. The exhausted mom of 4 headed to her room a few minutes later. There was pin drop, silence with everyone fast asleep. No one could have guessed what would happen next. The Friday before the fire, Tracy prepared to leave town. He visited his granddaughters and asked them to help him pack for the trip. The girls, who called him Pawpaw, didn't want him to leave. They asked him to stay a while with them. It was unusual that they asked him to cancel his trip, but then he didn't make much out of it. He left anyway. Hours later, he woke up to a call from Galen. She said his granddaughters were dead. How did it happen? Galen was fast asleep when she heard screams from her daughter's bedroom. It was a few minutes past 3 a.m. She woke up and immediately jumped from the bed. The flames were spreading fast. As the screams continued from their bedroom upstairs, she tried to get to them, but the intense heat wouldn't let her. Smoke filled her lungs as the flames pushed her back from the staircase. She couldn't breathe or talk. At that moment, she realized rescuing them alone was impossible. She ran from the house to get help from neighbors. The first call to 911 came in at 3:30 a.m. While they waited, neighbors gathered around the house to help the 4 girls. Meanwhile, their injured mother watched helplessly. Neighbors rushed around the house desperate to help, but it was too late. The screams grew fainter with each passing. The moment Galen was later airlifted to SNAI's burn center, she suffered burns over her body and smoke in her throat. Carroll County Sheriff's Deputy Drew Yoder also suffered severe smoke inhalation. When he arrived, he briefly spoke with Gayan, where, "Is it upstairs county? Send Cutler Fire as well. Get cut fire around as well." Upstairs, where's upstairs? Around the corner, to the music. He asked where the kids were, and she pointed to their room, upstairs. Yoder immediately asked the county to send medics. Coughing heavily, he tried to make his way up a narrow, smoke-filled stairway. The girls shared a bedroom on the second floor. The climb was complicated and impossible. Galen desperately directed Yoder from outside. She urged him to keep climbing until he reached the girls' bedroom. Yoder inched closer, but the smoke overpowered him. Seconds later, he exited the building. Breathing heavily and groaning, he raced to the Flora Fire Department, which was arriving. He yelled at them to get the fire equipment. Moving Yoder was hopeful that the fire department would do its job. While the fire department inched closer, Deputy Yoder and Officer Dinger wore air packs getting ready to enter the house. They crawled on hands and knees to the front door. Unfortunately, the flames came towards the cops from the back of the house. Firefighters reached the officers and 3 of the girls and got them out. CPR began immediately on the girls, hoping to save them. The 4th girl was brought out of the house efforts. To rescue her continued while firefighters battled with the flames inside. The medical team tried to save the girls' lives outside. Unfortunately, all 4 sisters could not be revived. They died at the scene as the fire continued to rage through. The home Yoder and Dinger sustained injuries and were airlifted to the hospital. Neighbors were shocked at how fast the flames engulfed the building. Flora, a town that is barely larger than a square mile, was thrown in grief, suspicion, and fear. Everyone wondered if the fire was intentionally set. Rumors swirled around town, and the investigation started immediately. We're taking each one of those rooms and looking at those independently, taking a look at all possible causes. The Indiana State Fire Marshal initially ruled the fire as undetermined. However, they determined that the fire started in the kitchen area. 2 months later, they changed the cause of the fire to arson after they found accelerants throughout the home. I want publicity about this case because I want it to be solved. Was ISP aware that that release was going out on Saturday? We were not investigators, declined to talk about the type of accelerants found days later. The state police released a contradicting report, raising further questions. After further investigation, they discovered that accelerants were only found in one part of the house. This means that the fire started in one place. This conflicting information leaves doubts. As to the real truth, a private investigator confirmed the fears of many in an email sent to state police. It read in part the press release statement about accelerants being discovered in several locations is absolutely not based on any evidence discovered at the scene during the investigation, and the investigator Dennis Randall was not performing a proper origin and cause investigation based on the current procedures of NFPA. 92126 addition to align that opinion to add insult to injury, the Indiana Fire Marshal's fire investigator assigned to the Flora House Fire resigned. Investigator Dennis Randall did not give a reason for quitting, but this move was fishy before his resignation. Josh SS was Randall's boss. SS was president of the Flora Town Council and Galen's landlord. The resignation is not good news for Galen and her family. They believed it would hamper the investigation. They have many questions left unanswered. Could Randa's resignation hurt the chances of locking up someone for arson? It would be difficult for a new investigator to take on the case with the same enthusiasm. Will the small-town politics hinder justice? The answer is not yet clear. But if Galen's suspicions are right, it would be another devastating blow to the case. Although arrests are yet to be made, the police say they're doing their best to get justice for the girls. The Indiana State Police Superintendent said they focused on Finding the arsonist Doug Carter insists that the fire was intentionally set and someone who knew the family committed it. Carter also revealed that detectives have traveled to Ohio, Kentucky, Illinois, and California for investigation. He added that detectives are still speaking to anyone who visited the home before a fatal fire. It's been over 8 years since the incident, and there's no justice. This leaves much to be desired, considering that the Daly murders were given more attention. Recall that Abby Williams and Libby German were killed on February 13, 2017. Shockingly, the police swung into action and arrested the suspect. Richard Allen has since been arrested and sentenced to 130 years in prison. Ironically, the arson case is far from being solved. Police say it is unfair to compare both cases. They say very little is known about the arson case, but with the homicide, they had over 880. Zeros or zero tips. Is that the case? What if the police are hiding something? When journalists asked to speak with Deputy Yoder, the officer hospitalized. After the fire, Carroll County Sheriff Toby Lean declined. Leanby also refused an interview with Flora Fire Chief Todd Trent. When journalists reached out to the lead investigator, he declined comments, but then State Police Superintendent Doe Carter made a cryptic comment on the Flora investigation. He said, "There's a couple pieces that we need, and those that know what those pieces are know what I mean." So I'll leave it at that. Why are the police tight-lipped? Is there something? They're not telling the public. While Flora residents await the police, rumors have swirled around town. Galen's involvement in the fight is at the top of the list. Did the girl's mother deliberately set the house ablaze? Here are the shocking facts. On July 19, 2019, the Indiana State Police wrote to Galen Rose. The letter expressed their desire to discuss the fire. As if that's not enough, they offered her immunity over her alleged illegal drug activity. It is unclear what her alleged drug use has to do with the investigation. Well, Galen admits to occasionally smoking marijuana. The letter further asks to speak with her to get more information about whom she commonly associated with. Although this letter was dated 5 years ago, investigators have not named her a suspect. She maintains her innocence. The police later expressed frustration over her lack of availability to speak to investigators. She spoke to them 3 weeks after the fire, with nothing tangible to advance the case. When journalists tried to clarify the offer for immunity, the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office declined to comment. They would not speak to anyone until after the investigation. Investigators also have another reason to suspect Galen, according to documents submitted. As part of the investigation, a policy was written on August 6, 2016. For the house the girls lived in, the policy had liability coverage for $392, yes, $2, and took effect on September 15th that year. A home appraisal dated September 10th was included in the documents. The home was appraised for $45,000. Policies are sometimes written based on a verbal conversation with the property owner. Subsequently, an insurer may physically look at the property. The timing of the policy and the fire raises serious red flags. Was this a case of insurance fraud? Was the policy created to cash in like a lottery ticket? As speculation continued, Galen added a twist to the case. On August 25, 2022, she filed a federal lawsuit against her landlord, Josh S.S., his business partner, Troy Helderman, and their company, Birchtree Holdings. The suit exposed a web of alleged misconduct. It's been nearly 2 years since mother Galen Rose of Flora lost her 4 daughters in a house fire, and now she is suing her former landlord. Named in the case are landlord Josh S.S., his business partner, and their company, Birchtree Holdings. Faith Alvarez, Galen's attorney, told the court that Indiana law requires functional smoke detectors to be installed outside each bedroom. The smoke detector was right by their door, right up the stairs, right there. It was one there. Nothing on it. It was one in the kitchen, however. When Galen rented the apartment, there weren't any here. Earlier, she raised urgent concerns with her landlord about the faulty electrical outlets and the missing smoke detectors. but he did nothing to fix them. The complaint claims that firefighters found one smoke detector without batteries, the suit says Birch Tree Holdings, and 2, landlords were responsible for the lack of working fire detectors. Galen hired Mike Vergan, a former ATF fire investigator, to solve the puzzle he spent over 15 years as a certified investigator. Before starting his own company, Vergan visited the house 3 times in 6 months before releasing his report. He discovered one smoke detector with no battery in it, determined to uncover the truth. Vergan raked through fire debris in the backyard, but couldn't find additional smoke detectors. Paid extra attention to the kitchen connecting the back porch. He then examined the appliances in the kitchen. His findings were clear. It showed that an electric malfunction did not cause the fire. The most vital information in the fire investigation came from a witness. Adam S.S. was a neighbor and one of the first responders on the morning of the fire. He was there minutes before the police arrived. Address told Vergan that he tried to reach the stairway to the bedroom where the 4 girls slept, but smoke drove him back. But before leaving the house, he saw a 2-in-wide path of flame from the back porch to the kitchen. He described this view in detail. ARS was the only person who saw the ribbon of fire. He helped Vergan determine it was a set fire. However, Vergan admitted that the goal of the fire was not to hurt the children. After several back and forth, both parties reached an agreement on September 6, 2023. Jonathan Bond, Josh A.'s attorney, confirmed that a settlement was reached. However, the details of this agreement are confidential. Both parties also agreed to pull down the building at 103 East Columbia Street. Flora, they had no objection to demolishing the damaged property. The day after the fire, Flora residents gathered for a prayer vigil at the church across the street from the home. After prayers, dozens of people dropped roses at the site of the fire. Their cheer team was also at the event. Team members lit candles in purple glitter outside the home in Flora. They also brought stuffed animals, balloons, and posters to honor the sisters. Cheerleading coach Allie Sheets accompanied her students to the vigil. She recalled that the girls never stopped smiling. She couldn't remember a time when they weren't cheerful. All 4 girls were always helpful, joyous, and respectful. Jen Brast was at the vigil that night. She was a librarian at Carroll Elementary, where the girls attended school. She still can't believe that they're gone. She described the incident as surreal. Jen said the library turned into a counseling center days after they died. Her daughter Liz Bierest is a member of the Girl Scouts and Kaya's friend. She says she remembers Kayana for her happy spirit and positive attitude. Flora residents and neighbors also shared in their grief. For instance, Fox, their next-door neighbor, had problems breathing after the fire. Her husband had to call off work, and her brother fell sick. The 27-year-old woman who lived steps from the home was teary as she wondered what Galen was going through. Fox watched as smoke left the house. She heard the girls and their moms scream their lungs out. It was the most devastating thing she had heard. Fox and her husband rushed out of their apartment. That night, they were confused at first, but then realized it was smoke. Then suddenly flames engulfed the home. The couple felt powerless. Her brother considered running into the home to help, but gave way to emergency personnel. Fox and her family cannot get over the way. Tragic. Event that night, Cassandra Hammond was also affected by the incident. Her business is across the street from the fire outbreak. It remains a sad reminder of what the girls went through that night. Cassandra hopes the police find out the truth and that the girls will get justice. Another Flora resident, Eve Gibson, buried her face in her hands and cried her heart out. Speaking about the investigation, she said people in town were speculating who might have set the fire. She says a family member could have done it. It's too small of a community, somebody knows, and we're just praying every day that they get caught. If I'm dead and gone, I hope they get them, But we're just going to keep praying for justice. A community fear that the killer is in their midst. What if he targets another home in Floortown? The friendly community has commemorated the 6 girls with a bench engraved with their names and ages. Every year they gather to place flowers on the home's porch in remembrance. Galen says she has been robbed as a mother. She can no longer take care of her children. She still calls on the public to help get justice for her babies tonight. Here's how you can help of $5 Lars. 000 reward is being offered for any information in connection with the deadly fire authorities. Made a heartfelt plea to the community, urging them to provide crucial information that could bring suspects to book. They assured that callers would remain anonymous. Police are also offering a reward of up to $5. 000 for information that leads to an arrest. We need people to be talking to people, and people to be listening to other people, and then report it appropriately. Citizens can donate to the reward fund by sending a check to the Indiana Department of Homeland Security to ensure this fund goes to the project. The memo line should read, Flora Fire Reward. Galen Rose has since moved to California to heal, but that doesn't mean the girls are forgotten. What do you think happened to the girls? Case of arson or an accident? Share your thoughts in the comments below if you like. Like the way we create these videos, and you want to help bring more cases like this to light, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. Thank you once again for watching